Alright, so for my first recipe that I want to show you, there's a couple of ingredients here, and I also have it on a picture. And this is the Brazilian cheese bread recipe that my good Brazilian friend Daltinho Matador Peligroso taught me. So the first, most important ingredient is the sour cassava flour. You'll also need about 2/3 cups of water, a cup of milk, 2 tablespoons of salt, 2/3 cups of oil, pound of mozzarella, shredded mozzarella cheese, cornstarch, 2 big heaping tablespoons of cornstarch, or this is like corn flour, but either one works. And then I like to use jumbo eggs, 5 jumbo eggs. So the first step is to get the milk ready. I mean, in a timely manner. This is like the most time-consuming part. So pour our milk in. Get a tablespoon. Here we got 1 heaping tablespoon, and then another heaping tablespoon. So 2 big tablespoons of cornstarch, and then just 2 normal amounts, get some light, of 2 tablespoons of salt, 1, and 2. Alright, so now we're going to cook this. I do it on high, but you have to keep stirring it, otherwise as soon as it starts boiling, the cornstarch changes and thickens really quick. So you have to stir it constantly. Some people do it on medium, but that takes too long. So I just do it on high and stir it really fast. So I'll just put this on high. So now I'm just stirring the milk and the cornstarch and the salt together, but you gotta keep stirring it. As soon as it boils, the cornstarch thickens. So that's what you're going to get, like a big thick mass here in just a couple of seconds. See, it's starting to turn already. It's starting to clump up. Here we go. See, now you just got to take it up a little bit. Keep stirring that. It's really thick. So, see? Now you don't want to burn that. If you keep that on there a couple seconds too long, you'll start burning it. Just turn this off. Alright, so now we'll just let this sit, and we'll start with the cassava flour. Alright, so I'll just cut my bag here. Stuff kind of powders up, and it's got kind of a stink to it actually. So I try to keep the dust down. So I'll just put all this in the bowl and basically put in most of the other ingredients right now. So I'll go with about 2/3 cup of oil here. Just vegetable oil. I'm sure other people use different oils, but vegetable oil works fine. Some people insist that you heat up the oil before putting it on. I've done this a lot. I don't see any difference between heating up the oil before and putting it on. I just use the cold oil. Put in about 2/3 cup of water. And also, now I'll just put in our, it's still kind of warm, this is still pretty hot. Just put all this in, scoop it in. get my eggs. Use some 5 jumbo eggs here. So just take them all and put them all in there. One more. Some people say that you should do all this mixing by hand and in separate stages, but I disagree. I think hi babe. I just use a hand mixer, an electric hand mixer, mix it all together, and it comes out perfect. Actually, it's the best cheese bread in the world, according to the Brazilians themselves. So, some people actually say that you have to like mix it into a hard, kind of like mix it all together until it's like really hard, and then like throw it against the wall or against the counter, which to me doesn't really seem necessary at all. So there are a couple of different kinds of cassava flour. There's a sweet and a bitter one, azedo. You see, azedo. And so you should use the sour one, because the sweet one tastes a little different. I don't like it as much. For the milk, you can use whole milk or 1% milk. This is 1% milk. Some people are strict and they say whole milk, but you can't really tell the difference. Whatever you have. I've never used skim. So this is going to get pretty thick. I've broken one of these already. So that's probably why some people do it by hand, because it does get kind of thick. But I might have to add a little bit of milk if it gets too thick. But it needs to be pretty thick. Otherwise the cheese breads flatten out when you bake them. See, it's kind of glumping up here. The more you beat it, the thinner it'll get. I'm going to try not to add any milk, but I might have to put in a little bit more. But you really got to beat it until all the flour is dissolved in there. You can't have any little bumps or anything. So it takes a while to get it all in there, which is why I like using the electric mixer and not my hands at this point, because this just like makes a giant mess on your hands. So I haven't added any milk yet, and it's getting kind of pretty creamy. This is really thick, so should be fine though. I might add a little bit, but hold off. So you can see how thick it is. Yeah, I'm gonna add a little bit of milk. Alright, so I'm just going to add a little splash, because a little milk goes a long way, and if you put in too much, it gets way too soupy. So you can see this definitely, you know, makes the mixing go a lot easier. Yeah, that should be enough milk. Just a touch, because if you put in too much, it's just going to get too wet. So you can see how creamy this actually looks. I put in a splash more of milk just to make sure everything was getting mixed in right. So you can see how smooth and creamy it is. You shouldn't see any, lumps, bumps or anything. So when it comes out nice and creamy like this, you know you're ready to add your cheese. So just take the entire pack of cheese. This is cheese bread. So we got our whole pound of cheese in here. Somewhere. There we go. Now we'll just mix this in pretty evenly. Again with the blender. And then after you get it mixed, it's usually best to let it sit for a couple hours in the refrigerator or overnight to let it thicken up, so you can make the little biscuits easier. But you can use it right away. I usually do that. I'm usually making it at the last minute anyway. But this time I'm not. So this is getting almost mixed up pretty good here. So I'm just gonna put tin aluminum foil over the top of it and keep it in the fridge until tomorrow, and then I'll show you how to make the little biscuits, because you can even make them and then freeze them and store them, so you don't have to eat all this cheese bread at once. So yeah, this looks pretty good. You can smell the motor burning. Alright, I'm going to stop, otherwise I'm going to break it. Alright. That smells like motor oil. Alright, I'll just take my spoon, make sure I got everything off the sides, and then I'm just going to put aluminum foil over the top, seal it off, and put it in the refrigerator till tomorrow. Alright, so you can see the texture it's like a paste, really. And when I let it sit to overnight, this gets pretty hard, so you can work it really easily with your hands. So that's one reason why you let it sit overnight, because otherwise it gets kind of gloopy. The biscuits can kind of flatten out if it's too soupy. Alright.